All right, all right. We about to go live, baby. How y'all doing? I was trying to get some music for the intro, but couldn't handle the music, couldn't handle the stream and all that. So no music yet. Maybe we'll get that a little bit down the line for a little bit of background music and whatnot. Uh, Today we are going to talk about cover four, cover six, cloud, so a form of cover two, and a little bit of palms. But we're gonna save most of the palm stuff for later. Palms would be like your trap two type stuff. Uh, we have some checks in quarters and cover six that will get to palms, that will get us to palms. So we'll talk a little bit about it, but we won't go into a whole bunch of detail on palms. Um, we we will talk about quarters and we will talk about cloud, which is two, cover two, corners in the flat. So we will start. Well, first off, my name is Jaron Horton. I am a football coach. I have experience in the NFL, experience in the SEC. I've been a professional coordinator. I've been a coordinator at the FBS level. I was a 2023 USFL Coach of the Year, and we're gonna talk about defense, and we're gonna talk about really split safety coverage, which a lot of people right now are doing. It was a big call, a big trend, if you will, in NFL football this past season in 2023. It's a way to help combat with what offenses are doing now. A lot more of the quick passing game and the spread out game. Um, the that's what I'm saying. Uh, the defensive trends always have to match the offensive trends in football, or else you're going to get a lot of points scored on you. So you see a lot of these. I mean, it's kind of West Coast type offense, really the Shanahan type stuff, where you're and really what's his name, Coach McDaniel down in Miami. These type of offenses, that tree, where they're trying to attack matchups, but they're also trying to get the ball out, play action, big overs, stuff like that. That they were killing teams with in cover three, which we just talked about because Seattle in the mid 2010s, 2015 I think was their like heyday. Um, then Shanahan's offense kind of took off because that was built to beat cover three, and now teams on defense are responding to that by doing more split safety stuff. So that's kind of how it goes. It's you always got to have an answer. Um, so today we're going to talk about split safety stuff. First, we will look at uh, what a play sheet really looks like. This for us is tight week six. It's built out of 21 personnel or 12 personnel, but this is like a base defense for us. Um, our nickel call is the exact same as this, except like we said yesterday with tight strong three and tight nickel 53. The only difference is the Sam. He'd be the nickel in our nickel stuff, and it's really the same stuff. He's gonna always go to the strength. It doesn't matter. We've played nickel tight will 56 against 12 personnel, which we'll see on the stream. So it's the same call as this. Basically, our weak linebacker is going to be in the charge. He's going to be the fourth rusher. He's A to A. He's here to B gap, contain on pass. He's playing really off of him to C gap in the run game. He's playing A gap to A gap, um, and then we're always going to get an extra fitter. That's the reason why we really like quarters or too high. Uh, we are always going to get an extra fitter, whether it's this guy, whether it's this guy, depending on the set, this guy over here, or the safety. Really, we are always going to have an. If you're taking the quarterback out of the equation, you're always going to have one extra fitter. Um, this isn't the best defense for quarterback run, at like true zone read, true QB run, and especially like if it's like QB design run, like a QB power or something like that. It's not the best defense because you can just kind of get out leveraged and kind of out gapped and stuff. But if you're playing there are ways to combat that, and we might talk about that later because we didn't really play any QB run teams. We'll talk about that later and how to fit that stuff later in a different stream, I think. But with that being said, tight week 6, we have our checks. Socks is really just a switch, job exchange between these two guys. He would cover and he would pressure. We don't do that anymore. But that's what that is. How we teach it, basically our corners are gonna be, they're playing 0 more or less. The strong corner. If you're playing quarters, you're playing basically 0 as a corner. The safety, they're playing off of 2, and like if you really want to get into it, the alignments are probably right up in here. 2 yards outside leg of the offensive tackle at 12 yards deep. You want to disguise it too deep. Like, I'm not super big on alignment just because like it's different for every guy. It's different for every formation. So like I don't want to go super in depth about, okay, you need to be 10 yards off of 2 on his inside shoulder. Well, like if he's a normal split, yeah, and like on paper, that's where you're going to be 10, 12 yards off inside eye, however you want to do it. If he's a little bit wider, okay, well, I might want to be a little bit more inside. If it's a slower guy, if it's a tight end as a safety, I might want to be tighter. If it's a fast receiver, if it's Tyreek Hill, well, I might want to be a little bit deeper because he can run. So, like, yeah, you have alignments and, like, alignments and landmarks and whatnot, if you will, but you just got to know who the player is on defense, who is your guy, how fast is he, how quick is he, and who the guy is on offense. So all that stuff is like a variable, can all change. I don't believe in being super strict on alignments. The only one that I'm strict on is the corner. I want them to be press or off at 7 when we're playing most of our coverages. If we're playing cloud, then they can be at 5. But it's also nice to start at 7 to make it look like single high, to make it look like quarters or something like that, and then walk up. But that's really neither here nor there. So when we're talking cover 6, for us that's quarter, half. We're playing quarters to the passing strength, and we're playing half, like a too high or cloud to the away from the passing strength, to the weak side. I like that personally. I like cover 6 more than cover 4 because the corner gets in on the run game and like it'll bounce to him, whereas a quarter safety potentially could get cut out. The corner's coming from a lot more width, so I like that. And it will protect you over, like, if they have a guy, like they have a dude at X, like he's a stud, their backside receiver that they like to single and put 3 receivers to the other side, and then they put this guy over there, or they put him with, like, if he's a guy, then you're always doubling him, if you will. You have a hard cloud corner, and you have a safety over the top. So it's a way to take away that if they have a real dude. If they don't have a guy on the backside, then you can play quarters. But if you're playing quarters with a guy on the backside, like, then you might have trouble because that corner is playing zero. He's just out there all day. So I like cover six because it gives the weak side corner a break in the pass game. He doesn't have to run deep all the time, and I like it for the run game. So when we're talking quarters, how we talked yesterday with cover three, that's a 3 deep, 4 under coverage. This now is a 4 deep, 3 under coverage with 4 guys in the rush. So it's about field spacing. It's about man spacing. For us, quarters is really man centered. Just with our cover three, quarters is similar, but it's even more man now, especially for the underneath guys. Like we kind of said yesterday, or the last time we talked, was basically, as in this picture right here, because this is a little bit more normal picture. One, they're gone. We're saying our corners are playing cover zero, more or less. So now you have 3 guys underneath to take care of their 3 guys, who is 2, 3, and 2 right here. So it's pretty simple. You have 3 guys, they have 3 guys. They're going to align and play off of one of those guys. And it's basically the short quarters off of 2. Here we're playing cloud on the backside, but if we're playing true quarters across the board, you'd have a short quarters on 2 right here, short quarters on 2, and then he would be playing off the back, who's 3. Short quarters for us is match, carry, deliver, which we talked about the other day. You're matching anything to the flat, carrying vertical 10 to 12 yards, and delivering inside to 3. So in this situation, say we're playing quarters right here. The Sam is going to be out on 2, playing short quarters off of 2. He's going to match, carry, and deliver. So if he gets a inside breaking route from 2, he probably is going to get help from this guy, because this guy's either going to go out or he's going to go vertical. He's turning to 3, and he's going to key 2 through 3, basically. If 2 breaks in, then he's going to take that over. It's going to get delivered to him. Then he's going to reroute and then kind of sink. And now this guy is responsible for the vertical. That's quarters for, like, I guess, a pretty elementary version of it. The safeties are keying 2. They have the vertical at 2. If 2 goes under inside, then they're going to look to 3 if there's a 3 to their side. Typically how you teach a quarter safety is if 2 goes in or under, then you're going to look to something coming back across. Like, you're going to get a potential, if this guy goes under, then he's probably going to go like that on like a high-low concept. So when my 2 goes under as this safety, I'm going to get my eyes over to the other side of the field. If I get my 2 going out, then I'm going to get my eyes out here for something like that to help on this, or to help on a big post or something like that. That's just typical. You can teach it different ways if you're game planning or this, that, the other thing, but that's typically what you're telling that quarter safety. We'll get into checks when we get to the film. This is a box check to bunch that's pretty popular. Basically, he's taking the first one out, he's taking the first one in, and then they have like the inside deep route, outside deep route, because it looks like 4 guys in a box. That's how you deal with this. It's 4 over 3. We'll get into a little bit more 3 detached, like 3 open sets, 3 in the core, and just different ways to handle 3x1, because that's really a big, not problem, but like you have to have a solution to how you're going to cover 3x1 in quarters, just based on numbers and whatnot. So we'll get into that when we get to the film. This is all of our motion adjustments and whatnot. This would be change of strength motion. We kind of talked about that the other day. Um, we talked about the short quarters as match, carry, deliver. When we say palms, that's like your trap two. Everyone's key in two. Very quick version of palms. If two goes out, the corner's going to trap him and the safety's going to get one. If two goes up the field or in, the corner is going to lock one and the safety is going to lock two vertical and drive the under. Yeah, it is, and usually you'll hear people talk about single high or two high or middle field open or middle field closed. Like middle field closed, there's a post safety in the middle of the field, and then middle field open is a two high concept. You'll hear offenses talk a lot about that, where they'll treat it similar because if a safety is in the middle of the field, then more or less you're getting like man on the outside, or you're getting cover three where the corner is going to run with the vertical and he's not going to have help other than that middle field safety. And if it's middle field open where it's too high, then those corners are probably going to get help, whether it's quarters or if it's Tampa or cover two. So typically that's what the quarterbacks are going to look at right away. They're going to see, is there a safety in the middle of the field? Okay, well now if I have a single high, then my reads are 1, 2, 3, and if I get too high, then I'm reading 1, 2, 3. Like their reads are different based on single high and too high. So that's how they can identify it quick like that. All right, cool. So now let me get the film set up. I'm gonna go here real quick. It looks like that was a little too much. That was a little too much to handle. Let's see if we come back. Immediately knew what coverage they were and stuff like. Yeah. So with that, you're saying that Rodgers looked at the defensive line and immediately knew what coverage they were in. So like potentially, I don't know the clip you're referring to, but it might have been where they were looking at film and they saw whenever they line up with this defensive tackle, instead of being inside shade of the guard, he was head up on the guard or like a little bit shaded one way because he had to stunt or get across or something like that, then they knew that they were going to be in some coverage. Like they knew that if they saw, we'll go like this. Let's see. In like he's always head up right here, but say we're doing some sort of pressure where he's blitzing and I have a safety coming down and he's blitzing and he's got to get to the A gap because he's wrapping around or something like that. So he might cheat his alignment to be right here instead of being head up. And that's something that can just be a small little tell. But if he only lines up right there when he's looping to the A gap so he can get into the B gap, then that's something that the quarterback can see. And it'll be like, ooh, I see that this guy's not where he normally is. They're going to come with this pressure. So those kind of things are little tells. The front can match up to the coverage because in this situation, it's hard for him to get all the way to the A gap from head up. So he might cheat just a little bit. Even if it's not a whole bunch and he doesn't even know it, he might be doing that just to try to get to where he needs to go. Yeah, for sure. All right, so what we're looking at now, this is true cover 4. This is true cover 4 versus 4 strong. What we're saying is we always count from outside to in, and we count up to 3. 1, 2, 3, 2, 1 when we're talking receivers. We're talking eligible players to catch a pass. So it's 4 strong, but we're still calling this guy 2 weak. Meaning now our underneath guys, he's playing what we call short quarters. He's playing 3 receiver off of 3, obviously, and he's playing short quarters. He's playing off of 2 weak right here. His 2 weak is all the way over here. So really now, if one of these guys goes out and he sits down, then he needs to push here and he needs to push this way. Potentially now he would come off on that depending on that route. So like if that's what they did, they ran like some form of stick, if you will, and he went out to the flat, then he would have to push to his new 2. He would have to push to his new 3, and then he would push to the flat, and he would cover this guy, and he would just basically be help, and so would he. But that's a way to cover trips. 4 strong is a little different. But another, like, to cover trips in quarters, typically if you get triple seam, what we talked about the other day is like every coverage, we need to have an answer for 4 verticals. So whatever you want to call your cover 3 adjustments, your cover 4 adjustments to trips, like I've heard cities, I've heard colors, I've heard words. It doesn't matter what you call it. But you need to be able to cover 3 verticals, 4 verticals. Obviously, he's got him. They're manned up. He's got him. They're manned up. If you're going to play like true quarters, he's going to take this guy, and then he's going to push over to take that one. He's going to reroute 10 to 12, 12 to 14, whatever you want to tell him. Same thing. He's going to sit here, reroute 10 to 12, 12 to 14, 10 to 14, like whatever, 8 to 10. I don't know what your rules are, but make it cohesive. Usually 10 to 12 is what you tell them. The other ways that you can run it, if we get 3 open, where say that this guy right here is lined up split out and it's maybe hard for him to get there, you can have this guy run with this vertical. He's there, he's there, he's there. And then you can have that guy push over that way. If this is a guy and you don't want to play 0 against him, then we'd be getting the cloud. We'd be playing like cover 6. So like you can have that built in to your cover 4. If every time you want to play cover 4 and this guy's in the core, you want to play it like cloud over here and play 6, yeah, you can do that. You can call whatever you want to get that. And if this guy's split out, okay, well then we're gonna play it differently. And now this guy's gonna tell him whatever the code word is, like lock, and now he knows, okay, well I'm playing 0 on this guy, and now I'm gonna push to 3. You can do that. The other way that you can cover it is if this guy's detached, you can do what a lot of people call mini, where if we get all verticals by these guys, then he's going to scoot his alignment over to be basically, I mean, different people teach it differently, but really slightly inside of 3. He's going to cheat his alignment to be outside of 2. He's still locking this guy. He's still in 0. But now if we get this, he's going to take this guy vertical. He's going to take this guy vertical. He's going to wall here. That's what people call mini. To me, it's just like inside palms. This guy doesn't exist. These guys are gone. You're playing palms off 2 and 3. So that's how I teach it, but some people might teach it different. Those are a few ways to cover 3x1 in quarters, in split safety stuff. So this is now, we're looking at 4 strong, right? And what we said is Tez right here, his 2 is in the backfield. So when his 2 goes that way, away from him, he needs to get to his new 2. He needs to be a little bit quicker to get here. I think he still gets a PBU, but he could probably pick that off. Down here you can see we're playing it where our short quarters player is taking the guy to the flat. I think this is what they end up running, some form of that. So he's got to push to this guy. That's his new 3. This is 2. He's going to push there. He's pushing to this guy who's his new 2. He's got the curl, and now he becomes help. He becomes like a robber. If it was a dig, he would try to rob the dig, for lack of a better term. And now really, he can help here or here. He's just kind of playing QBIs. So that's the nice thing with quarters. If they're doing underneath routes, you get safeties to kind of be football players and kind of do their thing. All right, so like we said, Tez could be a step quicker. We see he steps to the right first. We'd like him to go straight to that tight end, and he might get a pick. I mean, because it's a bang play right there. I think if he has a little bit quicker footwork, instead of taking that false step away, he gets there, he picks that off. Yeah, I think Magoo probably panics because of snap. So when he sees Tez is 5 yards away, he's like, oh, let me just get rid of this ball before I get hit. All right, so now we're talking about quarters beaters. If they know what you're in and they know you're in quarters, and we ran a lot of quarters, so they had ideas that we'd be in it. What they're trying to do is you can run like basically a form of control, or some people call it pod, post over dig, double post, double over. It just, what they're trying to do is 12 to 14 yard dig by this guy, so it occupies the safety to get this guy in cover 0. That's what they're trying to do in this situation. Here they send this guy out to the flat to take our short quarters guy. He's running over to occupy the safety. He's running a big post. That's who they're trying to hit. All these other guys, like, yeah, they have reads. So if we were in cover 3, which we talked about yesterday, they'd probably try to hit this one in this window because they're taking our curl flat player. All right, so that's what we're talking about when the quarterback has a different read in single high as opposed to too high. So right now, he's seeing, okay, it's too high. Like, this guy's not in the middle of the field. So he's got here. If he was in the middle of the field, he'd probably try to get this ball in right here. But he's seeing it's too high, so he knows, okay, that guy's taking my safety. I got him in one-on-one coverage right here. So that's what he's gonna try to take that. And that's what we're talking about with quarterbacks reads, like single high or middle field closed, middle field open. However you want to talk about it. They have different reads in too high versus single high. So they try to attack our cover 0 corner, basically, and he ends up making the play. His technique could be a little bit better here because he kind of stops running, but he ends up making the play, so no harm, no foul. That's a big play. You know what's crazy? In the game, the play before this, play 11, was also an interception. We had back-to-back INTs. So right now, when Magoo gets his head around, right now, you see where his eyes are? He's looking right here. He's looking to see where these safeties are. If he sees a guy right here, then he's going to look for this over. But he sees that Eli's playing quarters, and now he looks over here because he's looking at our other safety, Tarp. He's like, okay, well, Tarp's on 2. So I know that I got the big post. So you see his progression? Right now, he's looking this way to see what Eli's doing. Okay, Eli's not in the post. Where's the other safety? Okay, he's on 2. Okay, now his eyes are getting out to 1, to Keith. but that's like his progression. He underthrows it, but that's his fault. All right, so this is the very next play. This is play 13. So now we're talking about 3 open, right? 1, 2, 3, and this time 2 is on the backside. So we are playing here, we're playing true quarters. So now what we're saying is he's playing 0 because we trust our corners and we're going to let them go out and just cover that guy. Here, we are playing a form of like mini, where Bryce is going to end up outside of 2, keying 3. He is, as you can see right now, slightly inside of 3. He's keying 3, and then he's going to be like a midpoint player, and he's going to be keying end man to 3 if it's a pass. And he is locking him. So now they hop to 4 strong, which 4 strong is a big RPO tell just for normal offenses. Like, it's a generic football thing. It's a big RPO thing because they can read this guy, or they can read the safety, or they can read the guy on 3. Here they're running a bubble. He's going to block. He's going to block. He's going to run the bubble. So what we said is he's keying 3, he's keying 3, and he's keying 3. When 3 goes out, Bryce now has to trigger, and now he has to crack replace. So he's going to block him. Bryce needs to either make the tackle or he needs to get the ball to go back inside to him and him. So we'll see how Bryce does here. That's a really good job because that's a tight end. And I don't know how much that tight end weighs, but Bryce is probably 190 on a good day. And so that tight end's at least 230. So that's what, 40 pounds at least? And that's a very good job at forcing, because now it allows Eli, and he even gets off and makes a tackle. So it allows our pursuit to get there. That's a really good play. But that's a way to cover 3 open in quarters. And so his key right here, you can see his eyes. He's looking right here. He sees him step in, so he knows, okay, now we have the numbers. We have 3 on 3 out there, which they do. In theory, they have the numbers. So for them, for offensive football, okay, it's a numbers game. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If I get my block, then I have one-on-one with this guy in the open field. Offenses are going to take that. If he steps out or stays stagnant, then he's going to hand the ball off and they're going to try to hit that cutback right there. But because Bryce wins his one-on-one, then it's a 2-yard gain, 3-yard gain, and we'll take that. We'll take 3 yards. Because like we said yesterday, the offensive guys typically are not going to take 3 yards of play. They'll get bored and they want to take a shot, and then they'll get behind the chains, behind the sticks. 3 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards, all the way down the field. They'll have to go for it on 4th and 1. But if they get 3 yards every play, then they'll go all the way down the field. They get bored. They just do. That's how offensive play callers get. Typically, not always, but usually they're like, yeah, I know I can get 3 yards of play, but I want 60. Just don't let them get 60. So like the read there is right. Bryce just won his one-on-one. And that's what it comes down to. You need guys to win their one-on-one battles. All right, let's see. Here we're looking at pullers in the run game. And this is why we like quarters, because we're talking about extra fitters. Too high, we're getting this guy in the fit and this guy in the fit, or this guy in the fit. He's covering 0. He's covering 0. So like we said, they have 5 linemen, 6, 7, 8. We have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? We always have an extra fitter. And we'll see that right now. Both these safeties are at the line of scrimmage. Basically, the ball's on the 19, and Tarp, our quarter safety right here, is making the tackle at the 19, or like getting in on the tackle at the 19. So we'll see it. That's why I personally like too high, because you're always getting that extra fitter. Tez technically needs to keep going, like by rule, when they pull these two guys, because right now we're still saying it's like single gap, kind of. The short quarters players right here, our safeties right here. Check that. I'm sorry. Our safety is right here. Tez is right here. He's here. He's A to A. He's B and he's C. That's how we fit this. But we also have this guy now, who is our extra fitter in the box, right? He's extra. Like they don't have a guy for that, because we are getting both safeties in the fit. This fitter over here is either our nickel or our safety, depending on how you're going to play quarters and who you want to be the extra fitter. If you're playing it more like palms, it's probably going to be your nickel in the run game. If you're playing it like true quarters, then it's going to be your safety in the run game. So like that can be a reason why you as a coach choose to play more quarters type of defense or more palms type of defense. Who's your nickel? Can your nickel tackle really well? Is he bigger? Okay, then I might want to play more palms. Do I have a smaller true corner at nickel and I have big safeties? Then I might want to play more quarters, if that makes sense. It's the same fit, you're just changing who's doing it. You can change it up. You can, like, I don't care what you do, but just know who your personnel is. All right, so now we're saying we're getting pullers. So now Tez's fit changes. He's off the edge right here. He's in this gap. Boogie's right here. Really, Olive's in this gap. So now as this guy pulls over and blocks probably Malcolm, he needs to fit inside of that. And now when this guy comes over here, the safety's going to fit in here, and really he's going to fit off him, and the backside safety is going to fit as our extra fitter. He's going to check off every single gap and then be the cutback player. So like we're saying, we always have an extra fitter. We always will. Because we teach quarters that our safety has to be in the fit. All right, so technically now Tez is wrong by how I just drew it up. But at the same time, he plays downhill and he plays aggressive to where he knocks off this second puller, and he's in his fit anyway, because he needs to fit inside of that puller, and he needs to fit right here, right? So he got to where he needs to get to, and he was aggressive and knocked the puller off to now where Dale is free. He's coming into the fit. He's, like we said, checking off gaps. And then you'll see what Tarp does. He ends up making... Now, this guy's unblocked because Tez knocked off the puller. So he's in this gap right here. And Tarp is checking off gap, and fitting. And then we still have another guy. So this is why we like split safety stuff in the run game and the pass game. And that's why it's gaining popularity. That's why a lot of people ran in the NFL last year. All right, so here we're playing this like palms. We're now, what we just said, our safety's in the fit. Now this guy's in the fit. Our nickel's in the fit. And he's responsible for covering this guy. So like his run gap is now right here. His gap is outside. His gap is right here. When we're playing true quarters, his fit is right here and his fit is right there. It's just a gap exchange between those guys in space. So now we have our fitter closer to the box. I wish it was a little bit deeper, farther away. He's here, he's here, he's A to A, he's A, he's here to B, he's C, Bryce is right here. Extra fitter, right? We always have an extra fitter. We are gapped out. There's not anyone that has to two gap. He will now, if it's run this way, He'll check gap to see. And what I'm saying is when he checks the gaps, he's checking to see if anyone's getting cut out. If someone got cut out of their gap, like he was backside and he was backside, then Tarp would make it right. And if they cut it back into an open gap, he would make the play. Is basically what I'm saying, like checking gap to gap to gap. But we always have an extra fitter. All right, so we're good, we're fit. See? And that's kind of what Tez is doing. He's trying to get front side A gap, but that's hard. Like he's not going to do that every time. He'll do it sometimes, but 100% of the time, nobody's going to do that. Like, it doesn't matter. Unless you're an NFL player playing in high school or something like that. But you're just not. So Tez is playing here to now here. He's our extra fitter. Tez ends up being unblocked because what we're saying is he's trying to get front side. And this is another thing with angles. If we're playing 4 down, he's right here. This guy's right here. They can block here, climb up. It's a lot easier for this guy to climb up to get Tez. But now since Chris is head up on this guy, he can't go, like they just can't. They don't have the angles. This is why we like odd front. So this is a good look at it. And we end up getting an extra fitter on this side too. But I hope that makes sense of like what we're looking at and why we like odd front, 3 down stuff, why we like split safety stuff, especially with how we just talked about cover 3 yesterday. I hope that like this makes a little bit more sense. Why personally I like more odd split safety stuff. All right, so this is what we talked about again. We're playing it like mini, where they're inside. They're playing palms off this guy. If he goes to the flat, Bryce is going to come off, and then whatever he does, these guys are going to cover that. And here we're playing quarters on the backside too. So we're playing true quarters across the board. He's playing off of his 2. He's playing off of his 3. All right, so now what we talked about what we talked about earlier is the short quarters player is a match carry deliver player. He's going to deliver anything underneath. Well, here, he's not going to have help most likely because this guy's all the way over here. So if they ran stick over here or tear, whatever you want to call it, bench, he's gone. So he's not dropping this under to anybody. He has to deliver it. That's a big technical like vocabulary word, deliver. You're not dropping it, you're delivering it to the next guy. If this guy goes under and this guy goes under, okay, well yeah, we can pass that off if we get to that level. You might want to lock it because they're on different sides of the field. You might want to pass it off, just depends on what you do. Here we would pass it off, he would take that one and he would take that one. So this is a good look at it. Here, they're running inside drive. He's going vertical. He's going underneath. He's going to occupy space. Tez is going to take that one. Bryce is going to really fall off on this one, and then we're going to end up, he's going to drive that. He's going to take that. So, like, we have 4 over 3. 4 over 3. Here we have 3 over 2, right? We're always going to have numbers advantage in the run game and in the pass game. How we're doing it, this guy's not getting any help. So we still have 3 over 2, and we have 3 over 2. All right, so like that's a big reason that people like split safety stuff too, because you're always going to have the numbers advantage. So based on these routes, he goes vertical, he goes out, he takes that one. He can now help on that. If it's like a post, he'll help on this post, and he'll be over the top of it. He'll be underneath of it. We're bracketing it. In this situation, Eli should really be aggressive in driving that, because if he ends up going vertical, like a in and now vertical, then Bryce will stay on top of it. Here they end up completing it. And this is kind of what we talked about the other day, where if they're throwing comebacks all the way down the field, then I'll call something else. Like I'll call Tampa, or I'll call like a cloud coverage to now where this corner can kind of high-low it and go steal one. I promise I didn't say anything to Mark when they caught this ball. Just, okay, they caught it. You made the tackle. Cool. Let's play the next snap. Like, they are going to complete passes. If they catch it and we tackle it, let's play the next snap. Like, they're going to catch the ball. You can't cover everything. So here, they throw a comeback, catch, tackle, cool. They got a first down, bet. Like that, you can't stop everything. And if you try to stop everything, you're not going to stop anything. He who defends everything defends nothing. All right, let's see what we got next. All right, so now we're getting into some cover 6 stuff. So here we're playing quarters up top, and we're playing cloud over here away from the passing strength. So really now, since they have 3 weak, we have 4 over 3, and we have 3 over 2, right? We always have the numbers advantage. All right, so this is how we want this route concept to work. I would like him to flip his hips and play deep to shallow, because if this quarterback doesn't have pressure from our outside backer, he's going to make this throw right here before he can get there. If he's deep to shallow, it's either going to make that ball have to go higher, deeper, or he's going to go get a pick if he tries to throw it right in here. I'd like him to play a little bit deeper to shallow, but I'm not mad. Our half-field safety, he's going to drive. He wants to stay on the infield shoulder of the vertical of 1, and he wants to drive that. When he gets the break, he's going to go drive it. He really becomes our free player. He's pushing this way. He's right here. He's high to low on that guy. We're playing quarters at the top. It's basically 0 for those guys. Hope that made sense. And like even with him not playing deep to shallow, if this ball is catchable, he is getting hit. Like he getting hit hard. All right, so that's really good. That's really nice from Malcolm right here too. That makes it so the quarterback can't step into his throw, which allows that ball to not have as much zip on it, and not be able to be a completion. All right, so now we're playing quarters at the top, cloud at the bottom again. So here he's running like this, and he's going to the flat. The corner's going to squeeze and come off of that. He should get to 1. He should now take his read steps and drive that slant, because we don't just want to cover grass. And I believe these guys run like a triple in. He might run like a curl, I think. Coach Marty liked this concept. It's a pretty good concept. But he's got him. He's going to squeeze this guy, and like we said, he's going to read the quarterback now. With 2 in, his eyes are going to get this way. He doesn't have anything threatening him like this coming back, so he's going to drive that too. And he's going to take him. So Bryce is going to squeeze it. He should be a little bit more flat-footed, but then Eli makes a nice tackle. That's a catch, tackle. Like I said, they're going to complete some stuff, and even if Bryce is a little bit tighter on that, they probably still complete it, but that's a good tackle from Eli. All right, here we're talking about the cloud corner fit. So we're playing true cover 6. Quarters up here, we have 4 over 3, and really +1 on this guy. And we have 3 over 2, if you will, or really 2 over 1. Like we said, if this guy's a guy, we're going to play cloud. He's closer to the fit. He's over the top. So this is a good fit from our cloud corner. He could key a little bit faster, but this ends up still being a good fit. And this is nice from Boogie from getting penetration at the 5, head up on the tackle to make that bounce out here to the corner and then cut up. This is a pretty good look at it. This is on 3rd and 5. So Boogie gets really good penetration. That he's starting at the 5. He's a little inside, but he's playing the B gap. He gets really good knockback. Makes that bounce. He gets held. I think they throw the flag. No, they didn't throw the flag. But he got held. Does a good job. We see the cloud corner force that ball back up. And then we have good run from our guys. Chris, Tez running in pursuit. All right, so now we're fitting off 2 back. This is still cover 6. We're playing quarters on this side, cloud on this side. So initially, we're saying fit here, A to A, B gap here. Corner is our extra fitter over here. Safety is our extra fitter over here. And really, this guy and these 2 guys are fitting off of this guy. Because like now if he goes back, he's going to go fit off him, and the safety's going to like fit here. So that's what you see Tez does. He goes with the fullback, which he's right. He needs to fit really this way. He needs to fit right here. He would fit off this guy, and now our safety would fit here, which he does. Nas needs to just stay in this B gap. He's getting doubled, so it's a little tough. He gets now popped off, which is fine, because now we have our extra fitter right here making the tackle. 2nd and 15. The ball was on the 32. So now that's the line of scrimmage right there. He falls forward for a little bit more than we would like him to. I think it ends up being like a 4-yard gain, 5-yard gain. It was on 2nd and 15, so it's still 3rd and long. All right, this is what 4 verticals will look like versus cover 6. Quarters up top, 4 over 3, 3 over 2. All right, that's always what your split safety is going to look like. They end up running. He stops, and he goes here, and he goes here, and I think he goes here. But it's like deep, so it looks like 4 verticals. So that's what we're going to talk about. Reroute and really drop off 10 to 12. He's got him locked up. He's going to take the vertical at 2 at 10 to 12. How we play it, he's reroute and sink. He needs to get to the inside shoulder of 1, and then he's going to turn and run with 2 weak. This is a really good look at that. It's allowing him to get depth. He's doing a good job of sinking. He's doing a really good job right there of running with 2 to now where if the quarterback throws this ball, he's going to have to throw it with a lot of air to allow him to go make that play. If this is a guy, the tight end, then you might not want to have your linebacker running with him. But in this situation, our linebacker could run with this guy. But you can see we're covered up everywhere, right? He's doing a really good job of getting depth because nothing's taking him to the flat. Covered, covered, covered. He's really here to cover this one. And now he's on 3. That's a check down. It's an inaccurate pass, but even if it is accurate, it's a catch and a tackle. All right, this is a good scheme against quarters, especially when you're playing it like true quarters. If you're playing it like true quarters, then nobody has this guy other than him, and it's often too far to get for him. It's a hard run read, so he's gonna trigger, and then usually this guy's in line and he just goes right here, and it's just a little, they call it Y pop. Like you can see here, we don't cover it very well. So I don't know what he was doing. He should have thrown this here, but I don't know. He's mad about something. What's he mad about? This guy? What's he mad about? He's saying he got hit in the face? Is he mad at a play call or something? Who's he barking at? Maybe he's hyped that he blocked? I don't know. I don't know what he was up. That was about. All right, now we're getting to Sale Flood 973. Vertical, 7 cut here. He should reroute, play deep to shallow on that one. He should take 1. He should take 2. He should push to kind of be like right here. That's how it should look. So let's see how we get. I think Tez plays this really deep. Oh no, this is a different one. So this is exactly how we want it to look, right? He needs to flip his hips a little bit sooner because he kind of gets caught flat-footed right there. And that's a fast receiver. But, like, we have a guy for a guy. We're covered. He's on that guy. He's on this guy. He's here. He's zoned off. Like, we're good. Long foul ball. All right, here we're talking about box. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but we have these 4 over these 3 because this is like a bunch like formation. 3 over 2. He's going to take the first one out. He's going to take the first one in. These guys are going to take the upfield runners. So how this one works out, he's got 3. He's got this guy. These guys are bracketing this guy. He turns out. He goes there. He protects him over the top on out and up. He goes in, he would trigger, and if he went in and up, he would protect him over the top. This one they end up scrambling. Unfortunately, it was 3rd and 1, but get it on the ground, we'll play the next snap. All right, here we're looking at Cloud down here to the bottom. So he's our extra fitter. He's really going to fit outside. Well, by rule, he fits right here. See it from the tight. By rule, he fits there. He fits there, and the post safe or the half field safety fits there. A, here, extra fitter, right? By rule. It's going to be hard for this guy to actually, fit in there. He just has to fit here. He does, falls off the shelf. This is why we like split field safety stuff. So really now we have this guy as an extra hitter and this guy late checking off gap. Here we're getting pullers. This is really nice from our quarter safety. All right. Our quarter safety, you can't see him. He's standing right here. But what we're saying is he's our extra fitter right here. Gap, some form or fashion, A to A, gap. Corner now is our extra fitter because we're in cloud. Unless he checked it to where he's the extra fitter. One of these guys over here is the extra fitter. I'm sorry if you can hear that. My neighbor is a car enthusiast and he's got his toys out there. All right, so we're getting pullers. We got to go with the pullers. But the ball right now is on the minus 33, which is right here. Our quarter safety makes this tackle for 0 yards. Quarter safety, right? He started 10, 12 yards deep. He makes a tackle for 0 yards because he had good instincts. He recognized, he read his keys. This is his key right here. His key blocks. I'm getting in. Boom, make my play. It's a really nice play from Eli. Should have been all league. I just think that they didn't want to put both of our safeties as all league players, but they should have. Because they both deserve to be. All right, we talked about this concept yesterday. Oregon or Y seam-ish. And then he's probably there. This is heavy. Typically, you would have him going under, but this is a O-lineman, so they don't do that. Or he would go there, and he would go there. One of the two. But this is that concept. All right, so this is like a quarters beater because what we said is he's not running with the vertical. So there's a little bit of miscommunication here. This is the first game of the season. So now he sees this as an under, right? But what we say is if you get an under, you want to get your eyes back this way because something coming across. We'd like him to make this go over the top, but he really can't do that. So now we lose this guy because Eli, instead of looking this way, he looks back this way, and he loses this one. So we lose this guy, and he ends up making the catch. We just busted this one, which happens. Like I said, this was the first game of the season. But same time, we get on the ground. All right, explosive plays don't kill you. Explosive touchdowns kill you. Shout out to Tate. All right, so now we're in a 4-down front, but we're still saying we're getting extra fitters. So we're playing quarters to this side, and we're playing cloud over here, I think. Oh, check that. No. Sorry. We're playing cloud over here, and we're playing quarters over here. So this safety is up here. He's fitting here. He's fitting here. He's really now fitting here, 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 here. And our cloud fitter is the extra fitter. If we get flow this way, he can flow, and he'll get in the fit. All right, here Boogie gets cut out, which is fine. He just makes it right to right there, and he's unblocked because although Boogie gets cut out, he does a pretty good job of not letting this guy get climb and not letting that guy get up the field, and Dale can beat it in front. He can beat the guy across face. So we're still gapped out, and we're all good. And we have an extra fitter coming from over here, the corner of the safety, one of those two. All right, here we're looking at boot. Someone asked if yesterday or when we streamed last if cover 3 was a good call against boot. Typically, no. I'd rather be in quarters or cloud, and this is what it looks like up to the top of the screen. We're playing quarters, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, 2, 3. This guy ends up coming back, becoming 3. We're playing 3 over 2. Ends up being 3 over 2 and 4 over 3. So here we cover everybody. The corner's got 1. He sees this as a wheel. He does a really good job now of seeing my 3 went out, but my short quarters player is gone. I need to continue to push through now. That's a good look at boot. You might have to end a little early. Let's see. Here's triple seam. Going here. They end up doing switch seam. He goes there. And Tez does a really good job. He's doing more than he needs to. On this one, we'd like him to take him here, here, and he would zone off. Tez gets a whole bunch of depth and gets a pick. This is really nice by him. So Bryce does a really good job of seeing 3 to now his new 2. So like we have everyone covered, right? Here, him, because he's seeing that as a wheel, and now this guy. Tez just does an extraordinary job. He's doing more than he needs to, and he ends up getting the depth, and he gets the pick. So this is where we're playing nickel versus 12 because they came out in 12 personnel were trying to throw the ball. So we came out in nickel to have – if we didn't have nickel, this would be an outside backer, and this probably would have hit because the outside backer probably wouldn't have covered this guy all the way down the field, and then the safety would have been out of luck. So, like, if we would have been in 12 personnel, we wouldn't have got – if we would have been in base, we probably would not have gotten the interception. But since we came out in nickel versus 12, that's why we got the pick. All right, here's another look at the extra fitters. We're saying now we got this guy as an extra fitter and this guy, and ending up this guy getting our extra fitter. So like in this picture, they have 5 O linemen, 6, 7, 8 guys, not counting the quarterback. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right? So we always have an extra guy. Let's see what this one looks like. This is verticals again. This is empty. 3 over 2, 4 over 3. Here we're getting all verts of some form. I think he ends up going out here. Vertical, vertical, wheel. He's going to take that guy. He's got 1. He's got 2. Depth. And we're playing 6 over here, so he's going to be over the top. He's going to trap this one. He's going to zone off. Okay, I was wrong on this route. He runs the under, so he stays on this one, but same concept. And we get a big hit because he's getting depth. He's getting his depth, but his vision's back on the quarterback. So he sees him try to throw this one. Eli would kind of be on the island, but he sees this and he goes and makes a big hit. That was a violent hit. They threw a penalty. I think if he brings his arms and wraps up, I think that's a big coaching point, is to wrap up when you're trying to hit a guy like this. They are less likely to throw the flag if you wrap up. Like, you can't really see it, but here he kind of goes like this, and I don't think he launches, but he doesn't bring his arms. If you bring your arms, they still might call a flag just because violent hits get flags nowadays. But if you bring your arms, they're less likely to throw that flag. All right, here they're running what we call dice. Some people call Hank. Curl. He's probably going to the flat. He's going to the flat, and he's going to run like a little over the ball. So we have this cover down. Really, he needs to turn this way to get underneath 1. He's here in this area. He needs to drive that one. He's taking the out. He's taking 1. He's on 3. He's robbing whatever he sees. Here, this one could have been a pick 6. Mark's just got to trust it. Go get that. He would have been gone. But that's another good reason to why we like split safety coverage. Playing quarters up here. 4 over 3. 3 over 2. This is a good look at how we're getting the quarters. Our short quarters player is going to take 3 out, reroute, take that guy. He's coming in. He's going to zone off underneath it, and he's going to be over top of that. And we get a really nice rush right here. Nice little game. A TE game. Really a nose end game. However you want to call that. What game that is to you, I don't care what you call it, but twist, some people call it text, I don't know. Quarterback has nowhere to go. That's a really good executed rush. Olive does a really good job occupying the guard, pinning the hip of the tackle to allow Vaughn to now wrap. Like that's teach tape right there. Goodness gracious. Vaughn never gets touched. No one looks at Vaughn the entire time. And really, a lot of times, this guy, the guy that is the first guy, he ends up making the tackle. Because sometimes he'll try to come off on this one and he won't be ready and he'll be scot-free. But really, Olive beats two right there. And then we're getting another guy coming from this side on a win. We almost get that ball out. We had 3 guys. Party at the quarterback. All right, so now we're looking at cross country. I think these guys all block. he's running like that, and he's running this. It's deeper, but he's running the big post. He's running the over. How we teach the half field safety, he has to drive this, and they're going to double this guy. And that's exactly how it works out. PBU, and Tarp would never talk trash, so he would never get a penalty. All right, so now we're talking about 3x1, and this is cloud coverage down here. So we're talking 3x1 in cover 6. How we're handling this right now is he's locking, and we're playing true quarters. So he's playing short quarters. He's responsible for the vertical of this guy, and now we're playing it where he has to run with that guy. We're playing cloud over here. I think the only reason he takes this is because he sees this as a wheel, so he just wants to protect it. But we're not. If this guy released inside and went vertical, then the safety would take it. I think Bryce just sees this as a wheel, so he ends up taking it to be safe. But Tez does a really good job of staying underneath this route. And that was another reason that allowed us to play a lot of split safety coverage. It's because we had good inside linebackers that were athletic that could run with verticals. Like especially Tez right here. He allowed us to do this because he was good enough in coverage to run with these verticals. So it's all about knowing your personnel. Like we had linebackers that could run and that could cover those. So we were able to run this concept. All right, here's another look at the cover 6 versus verticals. 3, so we have 4 over 3, 3 over 2. And this is a similar thing to where now Ruben has to run with this guy. He's getting over to 1, and I think they run verticals here. So safety's got 2, corner's got 1. But this is a good job of Ruben right here, staying low and underneath to now where if he does throw this ball, he has to throw it with air to allow this guy time to get back to that. That's a really good look at it. Right here, we're looking at our run fits. He's our extra fitter. He's here, there, A to A, B, C. He's really here, and he's here. And now we're getting, in theory, a corner as our extra guy over here. So they just did a quick gap exchange right here. Technically, he's here, unless they check something to where he's here and he's there, which they might have. So now he just is fitting B gap, he's there. These guys are these two gaps, gap, gap, extra fitter, here, there. We get a fumble, we scoop and score. But we're gapped out. This is a good job of now Tarp. Technically he's here. Okay, that gap's taken. This gap's taken. Here's the open gap, so I'm going to shoot that. And that's exactly what that looks like when we're saying we're going to check the gaps. Because he gets cut out a little bit. So instead of fitting outside, okay, I'm going to come down here. That gap's fit. That gap is full. Okay, where's the next gap? That gap is full. Okay, where's the next gap? Okay, there's 2 white helmets, 2 offensive players. That's my gap. I'm taking the first available gap. We'll talk about palms later. Let's see. Okay, this is probably the last one we'll look at. So now we are looking at cover 4 down here. We're playing quarters down at the bottom. Sorry. Quarters down here, and we're looking at cloud up here. So what we're saying is he's playing 0 more or less, and short quarters off of 2, 3 receiver, quarters, cloud over here. This is a really good job from Malcolm, our outside linebacker, playing short quarters. He's taking 2 to the flat. He's got to take this guy. He becomes really a robber safety, if you will. But what's really nice on this one is our corner down at the bottom. He's in his hip pocket, gets out of his break, gets the pick. So this is the play we were talking about earlier. This is play 11, and then the very next play was that one where they ran the 2 big posts, and Keith got the pick over here. It was on back-to-back plays, like back-to-back defensive snaps. The other thing is, though, cut up field, go score. All right, so that's a pretty decent understanding of quarters. Let's see. We'll get into a little bit more quarters potentially next stream if we want to go. If we want to do more quarters, if we want to do less, we can do less. If we want to do a different coverage, we can get into fire zone. We can get into palms. Potentially, we can get into single high. But that right there is kind of a basic understanding of split field safety coverage in the run game, in the pass game. Like we said, in the run game, we always have an extra hat. And in the pass game, we always have an extra hat. We're playing 4-on-3, we're playing 3-on-2. So that's why we like split field safety, and especially if you're telling those safeties or the nickel or the corner, if you're playing cloud, you're in the fit. Like, you're always going to have an extra hat. They're coming from depth, but if you teach those keys, if you teach the fits, then they're gonna key fast and they're gonna get in. Like we saw, Eli made a play at 0 yards starting from 12 yards deep. I think Tarp made a play, same thing. So you can play split safety defense and still stop the run. So when people say, "Oh, you can't stop the run with split safety defense because the forced players or the whatever are too deep," I mean, I don't know how they're teaching it, but how we teach it, that's not true. When we get into Tampa, we'll see that we were still able to stop the run in Tampa, and part of that's the odd front, but that's a little bit different. But as far as today's stream, that is where we will leave off. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. If you're watching the VOD, if you're watching on YouTube, I appreciate it. And if you have questions, don't hesitate to ask. You can ask on Twitter. You can ask on the VOD if you can do that. I'm not sure. You can ask on YouTube, leave a comment, but I appreciate it. Thank y'all, and have a good one.